You've made the worst mistake of your life. You've hurt the people who loved you most. You've squandered everything, your trust, your resources, your dignity. Now you're standing at a crossroads. You are ashamed, afraid, and unsure if anyone will still want you. That moment of desperation is where we find the prodigal son in Luke 15 verse 20. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. This verse encapsulates the rawest human emotions: shame, regret, longing, and the overwhelming undeserved love of a father who never stopped waiting. Today we'll dive into this story and see how it reflects our own spiritual journeys. Luke 15 is a chapter of lost things. A lost sheep, a lost coin, and a lost son. The parable of the prodigal son is the most personal of these. Jesus tells of a young man who demanded his inheritance early, essentially telling his father, "I wish you were dead." He leaves home, wastes everything on reckless living, and ends up feeding pigs. An ultimate disgrace for a Jewish man. Then comes the moment of realization. He remembers home, his father's kindness. In shame and humility, he begins the long walk back. But before he even reaches the house, his father sees him. Not with anger or disappointment, but with compassion. He runs to him, something dignified men of that time would never do. He throws his arms around his son and kisses him. This is the image Jesus gives us of God's heart towards sinners. Explanation of key phrases. While he was still a long way off, the father was already watching, already waiting. This wasn't a coincidence. It was love in action, hope that never faded. Filled with compassion, not disgust, not resentment, but deep, gut-wrenching love. Even after betrayal, the father's heart never hardened. He ran to his son. In Middle Eastern culture, dignified men didn't run. This was an act of reckless love, breaking social norms, to embrace his lost child. He threw his arms around him and kissed him. No interrogation, no "I told you so." Just immediate restoration, overwhelming grace, and full acceptance. Maybe you've felt like the prodigal son. Lost, broken, ashamed. Maybe you wonder if God even wants you back. The answer is found in this verse. Yes. God isn't standing at a distance, waiting to punish you. He is watching for you. He is running toward you. He is ready to embrace you, no questions asked. Have you ever been afraid to return to God? Do you feel like you've gone too far? This story tells you otherwise. No matter how broken you feel, God's arms are wide open. The journey home begins with a single step, just like the prodigal son. Maybe you've been wandering, carrying the weight of past mistakes, afraid of rejection. Maybe you've convinced yourself that the mess you've made is too big, too ugly for God to fix. But the truth is, He has never stopped watching. He has never stopped waiting. And the moment He sees you turn, He runs. Think of that moment. The father sprinting down the road, robes billowing, tears in his eyes, arms outstretched. He is not waiting to scold you. He is running to embrace you, to restore you, to remind you that no matter how far you've gone, you have always belonged to Him. You are not too broken, and you are not too lost. You are not beyond grace. Run home. The Father is already on His way to meet you. Amen. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more uplifting Bible messages.